Good afternoon, I'm Warren.
Hello, I'm Adam, and we are from the Sanguine Writing House, which is the UK's leading provider of online and in person strategy games.
And this is our podcast, Minefield. So today we're going to be talking around our experiences of social isolation. Since the pandemic hit, I think social isolation has really come to the forefront because people just can't go anywhere. So me and Adam both worked in different backgrounds at that point in time. So do you want to kick off, Adam? What was your kind of experience of the the lockdowns and being at home all the time?
Yeah, so I think it was a tough time for everybody, and it was a really strange kind of period of being kind of alive for everybody. But in terms of work and the role that I was in, it was really weird because everything kind of shut down. We told everybody to go home. I spent a couple of days kind of running around delivering kind of things like laptops and chairs and tables and desks. And then I think at some point, it kind of clicked that this was happening. Um, for me, I had 30 members of staff that I was responsible for.
Wow.
So it was very much making sure that they were okay and, checking in with them. But kind of looking back and reflecting on it, I don't think I made sure that I was okay and that anybody was checking in on me. I was making sure that other people were talking to each other, but there wasn't kind of and I really, really struggle with that social isolation kind of thing. I mean, there always has been social isolation, hasn't there?
What about your team though? Obviously, if you having, did they not check in with you, or was it just a case of I'm all right, Jack, kind of,
Yeah, they did, but I think people were so concentrating on their own stuff. I think everybody was dealing with stuff in their own way. I really, really struggled from working from home. That switch of adapting to being in an office and having people face to face to I struggle being on screen, which is a bit strange to say that we're doing this, Warren. But
slightly.
yeah, I do, and I prefer to be kind of face to face. And at that time, kind of March, April 2020, I was working from home. I felt quite trapped. I felt quite cut off from everybody. Um, and then at the same time, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, so I was going through that. And Ruben, who's 8 now, he was going through an autism diagnosis. So it was just everything, And I mean, for you, Juno was born 10th of April, just after the lockdown.
Yeah. I wasn't even allowed into the hospital until my partner was taken down to the delivery room. It was so bizarre that I couldn't be there for certain parts of. Obviously, this is my first child, so I didn't really know what to expect. So I missed out on things, but it's a weird one because I didn't know about these things, so I didn't miss them, if that makes sense, because I was completely unaware. But I know my partner really, really struggled with it because, again, her first child, she needed people around her, people support from people.
You need family, don't you? You need a
That was
family.
it. Yeah, I can remember when my daughter was born. I picked them up from the hospital the next day, and it was so sad that we drove to my partner's mum's house, phoned her, said we're outside, and all she could do was come to the car and look through the window. I think it was a good 4 or 5 months before she could actually hold her granddaughter. And again, even with healthcare visitors, everything was then just done over the phone or video calls. So I think my partner really struggled with that. It was a strange time for me because I was working for another company at the time, and I worked right through. We were out delivering to care homes and schools, but that changed as well because normally if I was delivering, I'd go in, I would chat with the people in the kitchen, and sometimes have a brew. But then I'm knocking on the door and like leaving all the stuff outside and waving to them from the van. So although I was out and about and I saw work colleagues, I couldn't keep up the relationships I had with the people I had relationships with. And then I was coming home and my partner's just completely on her own, and both of us have no clue about, what to do with a child.
I mean, I remember messaging you at that time, and it's really sad. And I think the pandemic kind of really brought it to the forefront of people's minds because, like in different circumstances, like for you, that was a different circumstance. That was your partner at home, physically, mentally, emotionally cut off from all support networks. Then you had people at work that were kind of cut off from the routines and the structures. You had people that probably had existing mental health issues and were cut off from services.
It just amplified it, didn't it?
Yeah. And what we're probably seeing now is, the fallout of an exponential mental health crisis that, is going to get worse. It wasn't just the pandemic, and it wasn't just the change to everything. I think it's a knock-on effect of it all now, especially for like yourself, parents who had children within lockdown.
And you've got that weirdness as well, where it's kind of gone the other way now as well, where people are kind of afraid to go back to work, and they want to be at home because they've kind of got used to this little bubble that we sit in, and that's now become a little safety net for everybody. And I think it's one thing I think weirdly did come out of it that I found odd. I've lived on my street for 8 years, and I think pre-pandemic I'd spoke to maybe 2 of my neighbours.
Yeah.
But because there was the Thursday night clapping, everybody coming out, it was just like you started talking over the walls, and people would be here and there and that. So I probably now speak to more of my neighbours than I ever have done. I certainly know the names. I know what cars they drive. I know what they do for work, and so that was, I suppose, one little glimmer of hope that came out of it. So I just had a comment there. Somebody living alone. I couldn't see anyone at all except through a shut window. I was horribly isolating. People normally wanting hugs. It's just all of a sudden no physical kind of attachment to anybody. So in terms of, obviously that's what was happening, what was there anything that you did, or how did you change to make that situation a bit more kind of like livable?
It was difficult. It was really difficult. And I kind of think, looking back, I perhaps should have asked to be furloughed, maybe took some time off, because I really struggled. I was kind of, I think some people, and I'm talking about myself, feel like they've got to kind of hold it all together for everybody else.
The anchor.
I didn't want to kind of let my team down. I didn't want to let my family down. And I think it's really difficult. And it's not just men. I think it's everybody. We all feel a sense of responsibility. And if our structure and a routine is kind of swept away from us, that's where we start feeling that panic and that anxiety of, how am I going to do this? What I normally do isn't there. So what can I do? you know, and yeah, there are coping strategies out, you know, that we can use. These things that I should have done, I should have tried. You know, probably, you know, you look back and you think, you know, could we have done things differently? I mean, you were completely isolated. You know, having a brand new baby, that was complete isolation as new parents. But you know, you probably look back now and think, oh, I could have maybe supported my partner better, or should I have done this? And I think there'll always be an element of guilt for people about what they could have done and what they should have done.
Yeah.
Would just
Definitely. Yeah. It was so difficult because, again, I was the one going out and doing the shopping. So even the strangeness of walking around a supermarket, staying away from everybody, just getting the limited bits that we could get, I was still outside. And I think all she could do was take the baby out in the pram for half an hour to an hour. But again, she had to be on her own, you know, couldn't meet up with anybody. I think she just missed out on that, like the advice you'd normally get from the people around you. I think what she really wanted was for people like her mum or friends or other mothers to say, "You're doing all right.
Yeah.
What you're doing is right. You know, your baby's healthy. She's good. You know." But then, as we come full circle and round out of that, I say I was out every day. I've now got a position where I'm working from home, and I think I'm now coming into where you were almost, where I've got to kind of go, right, well, I've made myself safe. I think at one point I was leaving the house maybe twice a week, but now it's a kind of case of I need to force myself in the morning, go for a walk, get out there, get into the park, see people playing, say hello to people as we're going out. And I think one thing that we do now is make a real conscious effort to do something at weekends to actually have a life. So yeah, as somebody just said, then the lack of ability to bond face to face when you have a baby, it is incredibly difficult. It really is. In a weird way, I think it made our bonding with our baby a lot stronger because she knew nothing apart from mum and dad for 4 or 5 months, but it did make it a lot more difficult for grandparents, uncles, aunties, and friends of the family.
That support
For later,
you need.
It's like,
I mean, it's hard because before, I mean, we're talking about social isolation, but kind of, I think for people that have struggled with mental health, I mean, I've always struggled with mental health at various times. I don't know if you've heard the phrase "the black dog," the kind of black dog of depression. And they say that it comes back and it goes at different times. And people who struggle with anxiety and depression will recognize that. And I think, it's important to realize that everybody struggles with mental health. Everybody has periods of anxiety where they feel, that everything's overwhelming. But when you get in a situation where you're socially isolated, it just makes it 10 times worse because, for me, I kind of go, right, worst case scenario, this is going to happen. Or, like at the start of the pandemic, I was like, I'm not going to manage, I'm going to lose my job. And it's those thoughts that kind of germinate and start, going around. And for us now, I think it's really important. We work from home. Our bosses work from home. But the fact that we, every morning at 9 o'clock, meet with each other on Zoom is massively important, for
it is.
And
you see somebody else's face, there's always that nice little jolly, how you doing? Everybody all right? Just check in with each other. And it's different from being in an office. But I think you tend to make a bit more of an effort just because you've only got this limited amount of time at the start of your day to speak to somebody. You make that effort to make sure that people are okay and that things are going well. So I think everybody's going to do different things, aren't they? Go out for walks and try and make sure that you get in there. And we just need people to talk to each other, and that's one of the hardest things when you've been sat at home in your bubble. Like say, all your conversations have been with yourself in your own head. You get used to that. You kind of go, well, I know I'm always social awkward, so it's like, how do I start a conversation with somebody?
Yeah.
So is that what you've been doing? Nothing. Sat at home. It's
the thing with us, is that we're both socially awkward. That's probably
there is that, yeah.
Probably why I mean we get on really, really well, but it's quite a strange one because we're both kind of socially awkward and we're quite withdrawn sometimes. But I think that works because we do need each other to kind of go, "Are you okay?" Because you don't seem okay, and pull the other one out. And I think if you've got somebody who can do that, that's a lifeline, Even if you don't want to talk, even if you don't feel like you can talk, because there's been times where I've been so kind of stressed and anxious, I physically cannot talk. It's almost debilitating. So when you've got somebody who goes, "I can tell you're not okay. If you want to talk, I'm here. But I'm just letting you know that I'm here," and that's what you need. And that's what works for us, isn't it?
I think, yeah. As one of our viewers, there you go. Self-awareness is a huge step forward to dealing with our own mental health. And I think that's what it is. Self-awareness. And quite often people aren't aware. They need somebody around them to point it out to them, which is difficult to do. But I think, we need that. And I think the more we get people talking, the more aware people are going to be about how they are and how they're feeling. And I'm hoping that by people maybe listening to us, that, we share some of our experiences, they can hopefully relate to that and realize, well, actually, yeah, it's not just me, it's everybody out there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we can get people coming on and speaking to us. Because we would, I'd say, like this to be an open forum. We want people to come in, we want people to get involved. And if you've got experiences of anything that we're talking about, anything you want to share, get in touch with us. We invite you on. Be part of this with us. Because again, the more we can get people talking, the more we can get people listening, the better off we're all going to be. Because I think half of it is just saying things out loud sometimes, and then hopefully people recognize that, and it's just one step to making life a little bit easier.
Yeah, if you can relate to anything we're talking about, then that's great. And if it helps you, even better. We were saying before that we're not experts, and we're not here to kind of tell you how to do things, but there's an old saying, isn't there? A problem shared is a problem halved. And I think by talking things through, it helps. Just getting it out there, and it's really important.
And knowing that you're not on your own.
Yeah.
So I think obviously we've shared our experiences, and I hope in some way it's helped or given you a little bit of hope that you're not the only person feeling the way you're feeling or dealing with what you're dealing with. We're all in this together. So we just want to thank you all for watching. Actually, we will post this on our social media links for Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah.
If you're watching this later and you've got anything that's that you want to say to us, put it in the comments and we can bring it up next time. And I say, if you want to get involved, drop us a line, put it in the comments. We'll get in touch with you, and come and speak to me and Adam. We're hopefully not too scary, and it really will be good to talk to you.
Yeah.
So again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time listen to us, to watch us. We're going to be back next Tuesday at 12:30 again, the same time. And I think we're going to be talking about self-care. Is it, Adam?
Yeah, self-care, and leading on from this week, really, about how we look after ourselves and we look after each other. But yeah, maybe some strategies that we can use, and to think about what self-care is.
Yeah. So, as I say, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we will see you hopefully next Tuesday at 12:30.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
that. A little bit. Bye.